Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus Show. I am one of your hosts, Kente, all the way live from Los Angeles, California. And this is episode number 159. So that means our next episode is number 160. I am joined by the beautiful, the wonderful, the talented, the gifted, the holy adjacent, Shannon Ford, like the president, Jefferson, like the president. How you doing?
Hello, live all the way not from LA. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Look at you smiling. See, this is a Shannon I grew up on. The one that smiles. She got the earrings popping. She got that little glow to her. This is a Shannon I grew up on. This is a Shannon. So this is a real Shannon is here tonight. I like it.
The real Shannon show up every night. Most nights she's exhausted. This is no exception. I am tired. Okay,
Women from Nebraska don't get tired.
sir. Sir.
They go tired in Nebraska.
I don't want to tell you what my week summary was for this 1 week alone.
Mhm.
You wouldn't even want to have that conversation right now.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you were here and joining us, returning champ. If we had like a belt that we would give out to our champs that come on the show, this brother would have it. Forget that Dos Equis dude. This is the most interesting man in the world. For real, man. I mean, this dude got cars. I think he does something with NASA or something. I mean, you know, I ain't gonna be shocked if one of the days he's gonna be posting from the moon or something. This brother, man, got it going on. You know when other dudes gotta tip their cap to another dude, you know it's real.
Real out there in them streets.
It's the one and only Brooklyn. What's up, Brooklyn?
Appreciate that incredible intro, y'all. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, man. You know, I always feel like
always
when you come through to the show, it's almost like I have this feeling like you're like, you know what, I'm gonna let my my wonderful life just take a pause and just be with common folk, a little bit, And I appreciate that. That. So thank you, man. Thank you.
I'm glad to be here. I'm honored. Thank you.
All right. So
let's talk.
So this program tonight comes from the brain of my wonderful co-host. So I'll let her set it up and get everything kicked off.
Well, let's just say this whole summer series is sponsored in part by me and Driscoll's Blueberries. But today's topic happened probably by accident and now in light of all that's going on in the world. So today's topic is Black men and being vulnerable. And we have many different areas in which men could be vulnerable. Of course, since we talk about dating and relationships, that's a big part of it. But I think just with dealing with their emotions, unpacking the climate and culture of what's going on in the world, and especially when engaging in relationships with their counterparts, how to be in a relationship and still be seen as a man while being vulnerable. So unpacking those things is important to
me. All right.
So, Brooklyn, how's your week been going?
It's been heavy, I try to remain even keeled in life and roll with the punches, but there's so much going on, and I don't really understand. I never understand Black people who are unaffected by what happens to the people who look exactly like them. Empathy is literally being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Oh yeah.
And it gets easier the more familiar you are with people, right? Mm-hmm. So just like in the 80s, it wasn't a far stretch for Black people in America to empathize with what was going on in South Africa. So from where I am encouraged is the cat's out of the bag now in America, right?
Mhm.
Like there are no more people who are like, hey, you weren't there. You don't know what Trayvon did to George Zimmerman. Those days are done. You know, we're watching a 9-minute video of someone nonchalantly with their hands in their pockets taking the life out of a black man while he's face down, hands behind his back. Many people yelling, you know, literally yelling to try to save his life, and three other police officers, three police officers killing him, and a fourth is keeping the crowd back. Just you know, just letting everyone letting it happen. So only the most virulent racists, only the biggest Klansmen on the planet can look at that 9 minutes of footage and say, "Yep, those police were justified," or "Yep, he was obviously resisting arrest,"
Mhm.
because there is no context in which this needed to happen,
Yeah.
right? Any 15-year-old high school wrestler in gym class knows where the carotid artery is and knows what it does
Mm-hmm.
and knows that someone's going to pass out in seconds, right? If you put your knee or you choke them. So every it's all out of the bag now. And the, you know, we're not a I told you so people, right? People know that this has been going on for forever, for centuries,
Yep.
right? And people know that, hey, look, um, I saw a woman with a sign the other day that said something like, every woman knows another woman who's been raped, but no man knows a rapist.
Mm-hmm. I saw that too.
You know, so yeah, a friend of mine, shout out to Jamal, he put a story on Facebook about when he lost his innocence, in that he was 9 years old. He went to visit his cousins in Virginia. They gave him the pink water gun. He had a pink and green or something water gun, and police locked their brakes up, hopped out the car, pulled weapons out on the 9-year-old. It's a pink water gun,
Yeah.
right? Like, what are the chances that a 9-year-old has a real gun painted pink?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so and it starts that early. You know, never too early or too late to kill a black person, right? There is, you know, there is no such thing, right? Maybe toddler, but that's not true, because you see them handcuffing toddlers and things like that, beating up black women while they're carrying a toddler. So there is no safe time, right? Um, and what I have seen is the people who normally say, "Hey, we need context. Hey, we don't know the whole story. Hey, there's good and bad on both sides." Those people are having all the seats
Yeah.
now. They're having Yankee Stadium full of seats now. There is no argument for this, right? Just put your Klan hood on if you think that this is a justified death, right? The medical examiner who said
Right.
everything but asphyxiation.
Right.
Why is that person? Why is that person not fired? Right? Like, all 4 police need to be imprisoned. The medical examiner needs to be fired. Um, whoever did not lock these guys up before protests and riots started. Look, it's the gig is up, right? Like, it's we're done doing this, right? We're done thinking it's all in black people's heads. Like, literally, I don't know a grown black man who doesn't have a story, right? I mean, police have been pulling. I have never had a blemish on my record in all of my time on earth. Police have been pulling guns on me since I was a child. My brother's 10 years older than me. So I'd be with my brother. They'd pull us out of his car, put us on the ground, guns out. Like you'd think my brother was Nino Brown. So, and when you tell people this, others, right? They're often like, I must be missing something. There's got to be more to the story. Right. Something else must have happened. Nothing else happened, but you can ask almost any, you can ask almost any Black American who's lived long enough, and it happened. It happened in the teenage years. It happened, and it wasn't like, oh, this happened while I was robbing a bank. No, and it happened. This happened when I was going to school, when I was coming home, when I was minding my business. And we all have to story.
Keidra, did you
shouldn't have such a story.
Keidra, I don't think. I'm thinking that she probably accidentally came in. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Brooklyn.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. But yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you, man. It's it's interesting how I was saying this just the other day, like on my Facebook, I have Black people and I have people of other nationalities, right? So when the George Floyd stuff first happened, most of my Black people on my thread, they were saying something about it, right? And then my Caucasian people were saying stuff like, "Oh man, I'm glad summer's here. Can't wait for the mall to open up," and all of that kind of stuff, right? And in the minute the riots there started happening, and then there was some looting going on, then all these people who had nothing to say, all of a sudden had all these things to say about people looting or whatever, and all of this stuff, and it's very interesting when people choose to speak up with, when it starts affecting them in some sort of way, then now all of a sudden it matters, right?
It's not even about
you're following the wrong white
right?
people.
I think that the brainwashing of white supremacy and the American system is that money and property overall, right? Like the CEO of Target made $17 million last year, but people were on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram upset because a Target burnt down in Minneapolis. Look, that Target is, I'm not advocating burning Targets down, but that Target is fully insured. It's fully insured, and it's probably being burned down by people who spend thousands of dollars in that Target. I'm not going out. Let me tell you, I'm a grown up. I'm not going out and burning down anything. No, I'm not about the property destruction. However, I also don't give a fuck that Target burned down, right? If you only care, if you're only discussing, as you said, Kente, if you are only discussing George Floyd's murder, right. I'm sorry, did I say death? George Floyd's murder because a Target burned down, and look, you're bringing shame upon George Floyd's name by burning down the Target. Shut the entire fuck up. If that is causing you to speak up, if you're putting your fucking Twitter fingers on the keyboard because of the quote unquote looting or the rioting, and you have nothing to say about the injustice that got us here, you don't have anything to say. Like you said, that video was out days before this happened. So you didn't find anything disturbing about watching a man beg for his life, call for his mother, his dead mother. Don't and look, maybe it's a coincidence that people at work have been walking around me like I'm a Washington Monument, right? Maybe they do not want to engage. There's not a lot of jokes. People aren't joking around me, in recent days.
And let's keep it 100 too. A lot of these businesses were really failing because of COVID and other things. So a lot of people lit their own place on fire too. Let's just be honest. Or a lot of them were happy because they got that good insurance. So they weren't very sad that their business got. I'm sure there's sad stories mixed in there of people, but for the most part,
yeah, I'm sure there's a mom and pop store and such burned down. Look, again, I'm not here for the destruction, but I've also been around the block long enough to not let the tail wag the dog. You're not gonna get us off this scent. Put all 4 of those police officers.
It's been
in jail.
Time coming. It's been a really long time coming. I mean, this is bigger. This is the culmination of what has happened to George Floyd. This is the culmination of what happens to Breonna Taylor. This is the culmination of what has happened to Ahmaud Arbery. But this can go all the way back to 1944 when they executed George Tenney Jr. at age 14, accusing him of murdering 2 white girls. And when he got murdered, wouldn't let his parents come to the courtroom and then determined that, he didn't do it. He didn't murder those 2 little white girls, age 7 and 11. And only because their bodies were found behind his house, he was accused of it. And because he was a black little boy. And then the Emmett Till, how long did we have to wait to find out that white woman lied? Because you know good and well he didn't whistle with her.
Because she's trying to get into heaven. So she going to tell the truth when she's 90. Right.
And that was what, 1955?
Right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So we are living in the overflow of dead bodies that were innocent, children that mothers have had to bury. This egregious behavior, and now the world has caught up to it. It's reminiscent of Mamie Till saying, "Oh no, y'all gonna see what they did to my son. Y'all gonna watch and look at his ear missing and his eye socket pulled out because they mangled my son's body behind some white woman that he couldn't even whistle at because he had a list." And we've watched the video of George Floyd, or we haven't watched the video of George Floyd, but we've had the conversations behind George Floyd. That's somebody's son, somebody's father, somebody's nephew, somebody's grandson. That's our brother. We didn't have to be related to him to feel the pain and the grieving of another life lost unnecessarily. White people can blow up buildings, shoot up churches, blow up schools, and they get carried out.
You get that McDonald's. Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm so glad. Like, I'll be honest with you. I watched what happened this weekend with a big smile on my face, because I've been preaching this forever, that, quietly protesting did get you nowhere. I mean, you guys remember the Occupy movement? And Occupy was like this big thing and all of that. And they just sat there and let them do their drum circles and then went right back to business. So, this is how you get people to really see what's going on. And some people are going to get hurt in the process. But look, wasn't this country founded on that? So, what's up, Anthony?
Yo, what up, though?
What up, though?
What's happening?
Yeah, this is these are I don't wait. Brooklyn left. Oh, okay, here we go.
Like,
these are the 2 Dos Equis brothers. So they living that life. So
people, I was waiting for this conversation needed to happen.
Yeah, glad to see you. It's been a minute.
What's up, LA?
Peace, This week Trevor Noah said something that he said something about Amy Cooper, the woman in Central Park, and it kind of bookends, right? First, you see, in a way that's never quite been illustrated before, right? You usually see the video start after someone has called the police on a kid selling lemonade or bottled water, or on black people barbecuing, or on a black police officer trying to enter his own apartment, right? But what Amy Cooper did to show the world, look, this is what happens to us all the time, is Christian Cooper. Well, first of all, the fact that they both have the same last name and they're unrelated, Cooper, is just a reminder, right? They're both named Cooper in part because some people in America used to own other people in America, and that's how they got their last names. So, but anyway, this woman is a poster child for several reasons. Amy Cooper is an executive at a Fortune 500 company.
Or she was.
She's a the moment this happened, she was an executive, a Cocker Spaniel owner, a New Yorker, a staunch Hillary Clinton supporter, a liberal Democrat, right? But the moment, a black man, he happens, you find out afterward. But see, they don't find out anything about us, how educated we are, until after we're dead, right? So, you find out later this man is a Harvard-educated bird watcher on the board of the Audubon Society, and he knows the rules there because he watches birds there. I'm an amateur ornithologist myself. I've loved birds since I was a little kid. I've worked in aerospace since I was a teenager. So it's something that you could catch me doing, right? I could be watching a broad-tailed hawk, or a blue jay, right? So he says something to her, the birds are here, and people have to have their dogs on a leash in this area because dogs kill birds. If you've ever had a dog or a cat, they're very capable of killing birds, right? So you have to have your dog on a leash. But this woman, this white liberal woman, this New York City woman, this Fortune 500 woman, this dog-loving woman, almost murdered her Cocker Spaniel, Henry, shout out to Henry, who's now in better hands, right? Almost murdered Henry, choking him just because she didn't want to put him on a leash. How dare this black man suggest I follow the rules? And that's what people don't get. When you try to explain your experience as a black human being on this planet, people who have never lived a day, right? And they could be married to a black person. They have never personally experienced this, what could happen to us on any Tuesday, regardless of our education level, our income levels. Like, you're still black. So when there are black people who deny this, and who pretend that it's not happening, it's like, well, you're just one angry state trooper away from completely experiencing your blackness. But people said, wait a minute, it's really like this for black people? She told him on video, I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna say an African American man is threatening my life. It's like it's the cheat code. What is she like? Up down, A B start. Like, I know how to get you killed. Down, A B start. Yeah. What now? She knows. Like, We could have been talking about Christian Cooper instead of George Floyd. They could have come and killed that man, and then it would have been like, oh, I didn't know they were gonna kill him. You didn't? You didn't? When the dispatcher wasn't impressed with your story and you went full Meryl Streep and kicked it up a few notches, you didn't know what would happen to him? Come on, Amy.
Yeah. I'm going to take this moment real quick. Shannon, will you do a shout out, and then I'm going to say something, and then we'll get right back into our conversation.
Okay, we got Kiana, we got LA, we got Robert, got Natasha, Marianne, Luke, Hazy, Guest 5449, Rico, C. Will, long time no see, and Bobby.
All right, and also Kedra is watching us on Facebook as well.
And Andre was once in the room.
Right. All right, so just to let people know, this week we'll be on 4 days out of the 5. The only day we're not on is on Thursday. I don't know if that's going to change or not. Tomorrow I'll be joined by Boogie, formerly of the Elephant Room with LA Wade. Wednesday, I'm going to be interviewing Enoje, better known as Bish Funny, who is a comedian, and that should be cool. And then on Friday, we're going to talk technology with Carlos Phoenix. So we have a full slate of stuff. And it's always going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, right here on Get Vocal, as well as, of course, we'll simulcast on Facebook.
So before we continue this conversation, I want to ask you, Anthony, because I know you are enjoying your meal and you did get on the show. I really appreciate you for joining us live.
Thank you for having me.
How are you? How's your week been?
Oh, it's been tumultuous. It's been, it's had its, there was a point of, I guess, numbness, intentionally so, because of, you get rhetoric thrown at you from all sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have to say that I appreciate the overwhelming thoughts, or even people reaching out, asking me that very same question, like they're checking on me and genuinely, showing concern and care and, I guess, regard for me, I guess, in this time. And because we all need it. But it also caused me to pause and think how we all need this constantly, and it's unfortunate that it takes such a cataclysmic event for, certain other people, because there are people in my life who check on me regardless. Like, we're friends, and I'm hey man, how you doing? I'm checking on you, ain't talk to you in a minute or whatever's going on. So that's not necessarily counting them in that equation. But then there are other people who understand the line of work that I'm in. That's an additional layer to this whole scenario, or these scenarios. And it's just been, the past day or two have been emotionally and mentally exhausting, because I hear a lot of people talking, and where I feel like they mean well, I also know that the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That part.
And so it's difficult to really navigate through all of the, I guess, the well-to-doers and the people who are newly awakened, especially that, because it's difficult not to judge from a space. At one point I was new, and I was, I had a lot of fire, had a lot of zeal, but having had to deal with these things, because I've been Black all my life, it's just like, I'm glad that you're finally joining the party, but now we need some, you need some direction. I understand where you are, but it's difficult to have conversation with those people that are newly vigorated by these recent events, because the power is not directed. The anger and the rage is not directed. And it's even more frustrating that between them being new and where I am now, there still haven't really been any, or many answers, many solutions, or any major differences between how I felt when I was first waking up and how they feel when they're first waking up. And now that you know, I guess I've been cognizant of it for a long period of time. It's not much change, and that's frustrating and that's difficult, and it's just emotionally draining because it's like, well, where do you go? I can understand the rage and people saying burn the city down, burn the city, burn it down, but I also understand the opposite side. We're like, that's honestly not. It isn't the way, because I had to really be honest with myself. Had these events not happened in several cities outside of Minneapolis, would this, at the very least, indictment have occurred? We've seen far too many times where it hasn't, when it's just a knee, when it's just holding up a sign or a t-shirt. But now that it's become volatile, and it's not just us, there are those who are non-melanated who are also joining, you know, what I mean, these marches. It's like, why does it take them to join us for you to take us seriously? Why does it take for the cities to start being dismantled for you to take us seriously? But then also realizing I'm feeling conflicted. To sum it all up, conflicted, because people ask me, am I going to protest and march? I'm like, no, I'm not. I've been to far too many marches, far too many protests, and it's those far too many of those things have happened. Um, when people mention Dr. King, but I find also the conflict with me is Dr. King is always mentioned, but they never really talk about Malcolm X. And there is a it's difficult for us to unite when there's so much divisiveness, not only from the
But
opposition,
with the
but within our own, yeah, within ourselves. And I'm seeing it. It's hard to really wrap my brain around, and it's hard to have discussions with certain people because I can't really be mad at you from where you are, but understanding where you are does not really get us
yeah,
further. But neither does where I am. So where are we at this point? And I digress.
You know, one thing that's interesting is both of you guys served in the military, and I've had conversations with those who've served who say, you know, because the whole thing about, they say that it's all about training and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're overseas and you're on some sort of, you know, working in patrols and stuff, they have very strict rules about what you can do as far as engagement. And they don't do it.
It's called the ROE, the rules of
Mhm.
engagement. Yes.
If
And
you kill a civilian, right, you're done.
that's it. That's your
You're
life.
done,
That's your
and your
career.
computer is done, right?
That's it.
Like, there's so many rules. You know, you have to go through these steps. They're firing at us, right? You have to be in actual danger, not the level that United States police officers have to be at,
Mhm.
right? Police officers get to feel
Yep.
threatened, right? If bullets are not whizzing by you, as a Marine, you don't just start capping. You know, you don't just start shooting children. You're done. You're done. Your commander's done. You see, you know, people getting relieved. There's actual, I mean, there are war crimes. But in America, you know, that's why the myth of black on black crime angers us so, right? Because it's not black on black crime, it's called crime. White people kill each other, Asian
Yep.
people kill each other, Hispanic people kill each other,
Mhm.
right? So it's just crime. And also, if Steve beats up or kills John, he has committed a crime against John. But guess what? Steve is not being paid by taxpayer dollars to hurt or kill
right.
John. You see what I'm saying? You're paying in. If you get killed by a police officer where you live, your tax dollars have gone to paying your killer.
Mhm.
That is what it is.
And let's
That's
be
the
honest.
difference. You expect a trained police officer. You expect a 16-year-old black kid whose dad let him borrow the car, you expect him to conduct himself and de-escalate the situation, a confusing situation, a nerve-wracking situation. You know, I had a conversation with a white colleague today, and we were talking about the fact that, hey, look, when you get pulled over, you are hoping not to get a ticket. That is like the ceiling. Damn, they might give me a speeding ticket. I have never worried about getting a speeding ticket. I don't care if the ticket's for $1,000. Give me the ticket now. The shorter this interaction, the better, right? I am worried about living through that.
You never know how it's going to go down.
Even if I'm in a suit, right? I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I never have. You're not going to catch me in my car high. You're not going to catch me in my car drunk, right? If you catch me, you might catch me doing 75 and a 65. Give me the ticket or give me the warning or whatever. I'm going to be cordial. I've been here too many times, right? What I have to worry about, even now, right? After decades of driving, what I have to worry about is not the same as what all of my colleagues have to worry about, or my fellow Americans have to worry about, right? And so, and as my man can tell you, there are black people brainwashed in the military, but guess what? You can't wear that uniform 24 hours a day. Same with cops. You're a black cop, that's nice. You can't wear that uniform 24 hours a day. And there are many police officers in this country that will already start punching you in the face or dragging you out of your car or whatever before you can say, hey, man, I'm a cop too, or hey, man, I'm a U.S. Marine.
Yeah.
As a maybe 20-year-old Marine in South Carolina, I was in South Carolina, stationed in North Carolina, and I had a cast on my leg. My boy was driving because I broke my leg, and they thought I did something at Myrtle Beach. I'm in my boy's car, and they drugged me out up through the window of the car, cast on my leg. I'm like, hey, listen, man, and cuffed me and everything. And before, they found out I told them I was a U.S. Marine, but you don't have that uniform on, you're just another big black guy. So the people who are brainwashed enough to believe that, hey, man, it's sweet. It's not sweet. It can happen to any of us. It doesn't matter how much we served our country. It doesn't matter how much money we make or where we live or what we drive or, how much you donate to either party. None of that matters, right? And fun fact, bonus fact, kids, the worst treatment I've ever received in my life was from 2 black police officers in Washington, D.C., who promised to, quote, fuck me up. Oh, by the way, I was in the car taking my mom to Union Station, and they're telling me how they're going to fuck me up. And I'm like, this is my mother. I'm with my mother, right? Like, because you could threaten me, you could fight me, but I'm with my mother. You know what I'm saying? Why does Mrs. Taylor have to see and hear this? Why do you have to terrorize my mom?
It's not like you're taking your mom to a crime.
And so, and only God could pull up in an Escalade and tell me that those 2 black men, those police officers, would have done that to a white man and his mother. You can't, because you can't show me an example of that happening. You cannot. So what Amy Cooper does and what George Floyd does is show America what we've all been living the whole time. We all have a story like this. It's not special. I wasn't doing something unique to get threatened, to get my life threatened while I'm with my mom. I wasn't doing something unique to get pulled over by cops all the time with my brother when I was a child. It's not unique and it's not new. And those same NYPD officers punching black people in the face in the parts of Brooklyn I come from, and the same officers handing out masks and politely asking white folks to social distance when when a couple miles away in New York City. That's what it is. That's why if you don't live the Black experience, you can go, come on, man, you must have been doing something. You must have given him an attitude when he pulled you over. You must have egged him on. Nobody would
even
act
with
like
that,
it.
but even with having the attitude, and that's one of the issues.
You don't get to have
having an issue. You don't get to have anything, and it's like no matter, for as many times as I've been pulled over, which hadn't been a whole host of pullovers, but it's like every stop, fear courses through my body, and it's like, and I'm not doing it. There are times I've gotten pulled over legitimately, maybe 3 times because my insurance wasn't correct or something, or I was speeding one time. But even with that, just a simple speeding ticket. The last time I got pulled over was on some bullshit. I'm in Atlanta, on the west side of Atlanta. I make a right turn at a red light. The cop has already been behind me. I already feel it happening. I see the cop a couple cars behind me. But I make this turn, they make a turn, get separated by another car. They hit their lights. Oh, you know why I stopped you? Because you made a turn where it said no turn on red. There is no such sign at their light. And I didn't make any turn for several miles before that. That's the first turn I made. So you find any reason to make up anything, and I have to sit there straight face, and the entire thing that I have to do to try to preserve my life is now no longer, or not even now, but it's no longer even enough to preserve my life. My compliance is no longer enough for me to continue to live. So I can't be Black and drive. I can't be in my car. God forbid I want to smoke a cigarette because I'm stressed the fuck out because the coppers pulled me over, Sandra Bland. Now I got an attitude. I can't have an attitude. I can't sleep in my bed and protect my own home, Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, with these people bursting in my house and I have no idea who they are. I can't run, Ahmad. I can't be outside playing, Tamir Rice. I can't be stressed out. I can't be mad. I can't sleep. I can't breathe again. Only thing I can do is die. Out of all of these situations, like all the things that what can I do? And it's like there's no recourse. It would appear that there's no recourse. Now there are systems, ways to fight the system within the system, but honestly, we're nowhere near unified enough to even take advantage of those opportunities, no matter how many times those things are preached. And that's not even say to guarantee that it will happen that way, because what is lacked is the education on how the system actually works. And that's not being given to us. And even the resources are hard to find. It's like searching for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So it's like, well, you go in there, you're able to profit off of the marginalized people, but you don't want to take care of, even psychologically, like, would it make sense to want to take care or preserve the people that you're profiting off of so you can continue to profit? But you don't even think that far ahead as far as business or intelligently. So it doesn't matter. It's like, and all of it based out of what? Fear? Out of conditioning? How you get this conditioning? What made you believe that just because I'm 6'2", 6'3", 270 pounds and Black, that I'm a threat to you? I'm minding my business. I'm walking down the sidewalk. Why are you clutching your purse, Karen? I don't want that. And even if I did, you really think that your old ass is strong enough to keep me from taking that purse? Stop. Like, what are you really thinking about what's going on? I'm walking across the street in Buckhead, 15 years old. I have enough time to walk across the street to make it to the sidewalk. However, the white lady in her BMW decides that she doesn't like me walking across the street and speeds up in this parking lot, attempting to hit me. Why do I have to scurry across the street? Because you feel like I don't belong here and I'm just trying to go in the Ace way out on hardware. Why am I getting pulled over? Because you think I didn't have my seatbelt on, but that's not really what the cause was. She was hoping to catch some drugs, me drunk, or whatever is going on. But all of my papers are legit, and I still got to be afraid when you pull over, because I don't know what your attitude is, if your day was a good day, if you ain't want to be at work that night, or if you got the wrong patrol car, or whatever it is. And all of this on top of the fact that there are times that I work in a law enforcement capacity. And you're right, I don't have this uniform on me 24/7. I have my body armor in the back with my identification and all that hanging from my rear view. But none of that matters until afterwards. There's a video out now where a Black FBI agent is racially profiled by some city cops.
Mm-hmm.
and he at this point is really sinking in how they profiling him, and he's like, well, no, I'm not under arrest. Like, what are you doing? Oh, you look, we think you
You
might have a
think?
warrant. How do you, that don't sound like probable cause.
No.
That doesn't sound like anything that you or you operating within the confines of the law that you were sworn to uphold and protect or to enforce. But I think you got a warrant, not knowing until they pull his wallet out and pull out his card that he's an FBI agent. Oh, now you're apologetic. Now you don't want to get in trouble. Oh no, I want your supervisor. I need your names, your supervisor. Get everybody here now, because why does this have to continue to stop? You're not out here in Buckhead stopping these
That's
frat
right.
boys from doing it. You know, I mean, whatever the case is. You're not out here in Savannah stopping these tourists and these white people who live in here with the money, because you don't want to mess with the money. They got money to or resources to attain legal counsel and run you in the department under the mud. But it shouldn't have to take. Human decency is almost a mythical being, and it's maddening, it's saddening. Like, I'm sitting here fighting tears because it's like, what the fuck do I do? What the fuck do we do? How do we continue to get through this? And how do I continue to work in a law enforcement capacity where I was taking people to jail?
Not at
Because
all.
I'm not even safe on that side. You don't know that's what it is that I'm doing. And even say something should break out and I am at work, well, I got on a uniform. You don't care if I'm APD or any of the police department, or if I'm a bounty hunter or whatever it is. I am now a threat to both sides. I'm black, and so I'm a threat, and now I'm in a law enforcement capacity. So now I'm a threat. Where do I fit in this whole thing? And it's like, man, I just want to stay in the house.
Yeah.
I don't want
So
to
this
go
is part
outside.
one, real quick, Kente, and I want to say this because they actually have put two topics together. Our next week topic is actually the cost of being male and black in America, and y'all have single-handedly covered being vulnerable and that topic in one conversation. So we're gonna do a part one and a part two of both of these things, and we'll revisit this conversation next week as well, because there's so much to unpack. Just the meat and potatoes of the mental trauma, the physical pain and burden that we have to carry day in and day out. We don't get to be anything but black by everyone else's standards. And that comes with labels like criminal and thug and animal. There's nothing good to it.
Yeah, and those are all whistleblower
Absolutely.
terms, right? When you see people at the highest levels of government, using words like thugs and animals, it's just a whistleblow to racists, to like, yep, that's who we're talking about. That's who we call thugs. That's who we call animals. That's who we call, savages. That's just what it is, right? When people are brainwashed to put property over life. So when you say when the looting starts, the shooting starts, that harkens back to some crooked racist sheriff in 1968 in Miami who used to say that to scare people. As I said at the top of the show, I'm not for the looting. I'm not cheering that on. I don't believe in that. Yet it's still property, right? I'm a car guy. I got a lot of cars. In my state and in most states, I can't shoot somebody because they're stealing my car. I'd have to shoot if someone was, if my niece was in a baby seat, and you try to steal the car, I have to hurt you. But if you're just stealing a car, you can take it. I've got, the cars are insured, everything I own is insured, right? And that's what insurance is for. And that's property stops short of lethal, right? If someone is putting another person's life in danger, then you can step in and use lethal force to try to save someone's life, right? You see a man on the street, you're walking by, and a man is choking the life out of his wife. You can get him off of her, right? You can't be like, oh, this guy's jogging in the neighborhood and we heard someplace got robbed at some point. So we're going to confront him with guns. That's not legal.
I want to give a quick shout out. My nephew just came in the room, Proda.
Nephew.
Thomas, you've talked to him recently, Shannon.
Oh, Thomas. Hi, Thomas.
So big shout out to my nephew.
Phone call, Thomas.
Shout out, nephew.
Yeah. So now you said you had something to say, Thomas?
I can step down.
Hop in, Thomas.
Don't let the hostess step out. I'm going to step out. Let Shannon come back in there.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. What's up, man?
Hey, Shannon. Hey, what's your name, sir?
Stephanie.
Hey, how you doing? Hey,
Great. What's up, dude?
I got some real inline information really about what's really going on.
Okay.
As far as, and it's been broken all the way down to as far as, you said you were a police officer, right? Okay, but you work in law enforcement, right? So
but I'm not a police
you do
officer.
carry that star, right?
Right.
Okay. Even
Right.
down to the information about your star having Pizzagate symbols on it. So there's a young dude.
Okay.
I don't really tell too many people about this guy because the way that he relays his message. He's a young cat, 26 years old, about to turn 27. He's been incarcerated at least 3 different times, but he's always been one of those that's been for his people and been for the people. He's pro-righteous, so he's really not. He's all about just what's right. But he just released everything as far as who's in control, who's doing what, and it's real deep. It's real deep. But the young dude name is Young Pharaoh. You can. He actually broke it all the way down. I believe this is a dire emergency for us to get this out to everybody, because everybody knows that they do want to start a one world order, and all you need is America to go ahead and initiate it. And the way that we're going, we're getting ready to see the movie Gray. What is that? Gray State. That the film, the director started doing a film, released a trailer, and him and his wife were killed in 2015. Him, his wife, and his daughter were killed in Minnesota in 2015 because he wanted to release this movie, and it's darn near dead on to what's going on right now.
You're talking about predictive programming.
The initial name was, if I believe right, was Gray State. So
I have to look into that.
I'm trying to get this out to everybody that I can. I would like to post a link to where everybody can at least look at it. Just give him at least 30 minutes, and I guarantee you're gonna want to watch the rest of it and everything else that he's ever put out. This young brother is I'm 34 years old. I'll be 35. I'll be 35 soon, and I don't really listen to too many people younger than me. And my uncle can tell you that. So for me to have the utmost respect for this young brother, I believe it is intuitive for everybody to check it out.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say. I will be putting his info in the chat, and people can do what they need to do with it. And hopefully we can wake up this nation and get everything back on track and get these deep state people out of there.
All right, I'll check it out. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it.
Y'all have a best day,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna continue to watch.
All right.
All right now. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, my nephew.
Come
All
on,
right.
Brooklyn.
Come back, Brooklyn. I'm very familiar with Young Pharaoh. And it's very interesting stuff.
So Anthony, and while Brooklyn's coming back to his seat, so since we're talking about being vulnerable and we're talking about the cost of being Black and male in America, how do we have these conversations with each other so that we continue to hold safe space for each other? Because some of us are in relationships or we have loved ones who we check on and we need to have these deep conversations with. We know some people need to sit still in how they feel, but some people need that safe space held for them so that they can vent or they can cry or they can do whatever they need to do when they feel the way that they feel.
I think it's definitely going to be twofold for the person or the people that need the space to be held. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's space that you're going to have to take. You definitely going to have to seek it out. You know what I mean? Your partner, your family, or like whoever it is that you're with, you may have to be the initiator of that conversation. I've been fortunate to have several people who I can, energetically feel that they are genuinely concerned more than just a surface level conversation and, want to know what it is that I think or how it is that I'm feeling. But then also identifying those people that just aren't able to do that so that you don't necessarily put yourself in a position of feeling neglected or unheard and things of that nature. But I feel like for those who are genuinely concerned, it's just really just holding that space, opening the floor for that dialogue. And it can mean something as drastic, as simple as, hey, I'm checking on you, how you doing, how's your heart, how's your head space, how are you feeling. And it could be something even more drastic, as in, I'm turning everything off, phone, television, there's nothing. I want to talk to you, and let's really unpack and unload these layers of what is going on, things from what I see, paying attention to the people that are around you and how they're behaving, whether or not they're withdrawing more, and allowing them to be vocal, or at least creating the opportunity, like, hey, just being, I guess, persistent on, I want to talk to you about this. I want to know how you truly feel, because it's absolutely important, and I think it'll help alleviate take some of the edge off of just everything that's being felt, because it gets overwhelming. You get with everything, all the information that's being thrown back and forth, whether it be the news media and the perpetuation of the propaganda, the fear mongering, or if it's the conspiracy theorists. And while even some of those things have some validity to it, it's not the time and place all the time to try to get into, whatever conspiracy.
Yeah.
Okay, you got the knowledge, but where's the wisdom? Okay, you're telling me this now, but I need to make sure I'm surviving on a day-to-day basis. Like, that is something that I don't have immediate control over. So let's identify what we have immediate control over, what we can affect immediately amongst each other, within ourselves, and really taking the time to, not be so caught up in the idea of getting back to normal, because this shit ain't the normalcy that has been. We are looking forward to no longer continue, and so creating the space to be able to manifest and manufacture a normality that is, I guess, culpable for your immediate surroundings, and then figuring out how you can actually get involved versus just riding the bandwagon of the rhetoric of rage. Because I see a lot
definitely
of
as a Black man, you go through a lot of different emotions, right? You want to be that, you want to have that warrior spirit, right? When you need to have it, and it takes a toll on you. In a lot of ways, it takes a toll because you're not always the most employable person, right? If you had that warrior spirit, you had that masculine energy, right? And also life kicks you in the butt.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like when you skin your knee, you can't cry, right? You got to suck it up, right? But sometimes though, you want to cry, because it should hurt, And it's a tightrope. And then you hear things like, guys, you ever heard this one? Oh, you in your feelings, you being emotional, or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's as if men cannot have feelings.
Right.
And that's a catch-22 because any masculine man has had women tell him things like, well, I'm just going to say what I've been told. You know, you seem as if you don't care, or nothing bothers you. Like, you gotta. I feel like people need to make a decision, right? You either want men to be completely unbothered, or you want us to share our feelings. But if you're hearing that, you know, if you're hearing that, hey, nothing. I have a theory about men and women, right? It's not a theory. We're like the lighthouse. We're supposed to stand firm. Our woman may get emotional. There, you know, the waves are crashing. She may be super happy. She may be super sad, right? As a man, I cannot waver with those emotions. I need to be a calming force. I need to be a strong and steady force. I don't need to be a brick wall. I don't need to ignore that you're going through something, but I need to be there as a steady, comforting force, right? If you come home upset because someone pissed you off at work or because something bad happened, and I'm upset and we're snapping at each other, that's unhelpful. You know, that energy, the yin and the yang exists so that we can, you know, we can have that polarity. That's what makes it great. That's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it even peaceful. So, you know, we have to pick something. Yes, we should have feelings and share them, but you know, we can't. For me, anyway, I can only speak for myself. I cannot become a mess. I cannot become unraveled. I cannot become you know, because that's where it tiptoes, right? A woman's telling you that you're in your feelings, or poking and prodding to try to get you upset, and now everybody's upset, and you know, people are yelling and screaming, and that's not the way in the life.
Absolutely. And let me just interject as a woman, because what I hate to see is women tell men that it's weak to show your feelings, to be emotional, to be human. Not just a man, but human. You hurt, you cry, you anger, but you also have other emotions: sadness, frustration,
insecurity at times.
Insecurity. And so the onus of the who can cry and who can grieve and who can stifle the spirits of just sadness, it's not just women. And we have got to do better. I know for me, I make it my mission to uphold both Black men and Black women to the light of goodness. And wherever you are in that, whatever your need is in that moment, if I am not going to offer you a safe space, what am I in your life for? If I'm going to condemn you for feeling the way you feel and showcasing that raw emotion that is an extension of your overwhelm, because right now, even our overwhelm is overwhelmed. We have to allow you to feel, regardless of how you feel. There's nothing wrong with you feeling. You're not weak. You're not insecure. You're not less than a man. You are whole. And we can't be indifferent about it. We have to be on the same page with you in your feelings. And in your feelings is not a bad thing. We make things a bad thing. Because if we're in our feelings, or we get offended if y'all say it to us. So why wouldn't y'all get offended if we say it to y'all? We got to be better. And that's why we challenge in Mars and Venus. That's why I make it my life work to have conversations with Black men and Black women about relationships and vulnerability and authenticity and transparency of self, because we don't do it enough. We don't love on each other enough. We don't bear each other's burdens enough. We too busy doing what the world is doing, is tearing each other down instead of loving on each other. I can look at you and say, I love you, Black man. But if I can show you without using my words, by standing in the space with you, and letting you feel what you feel without judgment or condemnation or belittling your manhood, that's the beginning of something healthy, whole, and nurturing to the relationship. That's where we can let down our guards and heal our inner selves from past hurts and hangups. And this is a call to everybody watching this live or in the future. If you are not standing in a space for other people to feel the way they feel, like I said on the live 3 days ago, you are not the ally to that person. You are an enemy. And you need to back the hell up and let somebody else be in that space. Understand?
Yeah, a lot of I mean
Okay.
a lot of guys a lot of guys will step out of their relationship to be with someone they can feel like they're more vulnerable with, you know what I mean? So, and you shouldn't have to do that in a relationship, right? You shouldn't have to.
Is there a scientific name for that, Kente?
Asshole's disease. But
is there some kind of mistress comforting?
so, hey, look, some that's what some side piece do. You know, they're like a psychiatrist.
Side
Yeah,
psychology.
you know.
I mean, to keep it a buck with you, when I was married, I did that, and it was a thing of like I couldn't express myself even well before I got married. My whole desire, listen, we talking about vulnerability, was to be vulnerable. Like I wanted to be able to put down all the armor, all the weapons, all the facades, the masks, and I wanted to be known intimately. You know,
That's
to
what
a
true
point to
intimacy
where,
is.
you know, I mean, not a
Someone really.
situation where you got to read my mind, but I'm like that's what I wanted, but I couldn't really. It was a difficult place to get to, not because of my own conditioning, but also just the generalized societal conditioning between the both of us of saying like you can't be this, I can't. Up until recently, like I said, I'll be 37 next month. The only woman that had seen me cry was my mom. And the last time she seen that happen, I might have been 14. Between then and now, this year is probably the first time I've actually shed tears since I was 14. Because of, you know what I mean, having to just compile expectations and conditionings of one soldier mentality. Yeah, you scrape your knee, cry, throw some dirt on it, walk it off, suck it up and drive on. You got to keep moving, you know what I mean, adapt and overcome. And that's generally the mentality that I've maintained. And while it was a patch, a band-aid, you know what I mean, small pacification, it just was not sustainable, because at the point where I began to unravel and it was having all of these different thoughts and didn't really know how to express them or who to express them to, and when I attempted to express them to my partner, I got their back, their shoulder, and it's like, well, man, like you're supposed to be. I'm in a relationship with you. I thought I was supposed to be able to come in unloaded to you, but you don't even know how to handle me being vulnerable because you would never experience that. So you don't even know where to start in receiving or creating the space to allow me to be that type or to express myself in that person. So it's like I gotta go out. It's up to a certain point. It's like I gotta go out in the world on a daily basis and fight for my humanity and also fight for my manhood. I don't want to come home and now have to fight you to maintain both of those things. But it's even more difficult, it seems like now, because we're both fighting for our lives and our humanity, and then to come back and we still, fight each other and are unable to, drop the veil or to put down the arm. It's like, nah, I want to know that there are common misconceptions that I feel like are divisive within the relationship between the relationships of black men and black women, where they say women are looking for security, but men are looking for the same thing. I need to be secure in you as well. I need to be secure to know that you not only have my back, but you got my heart, and that's even more important. And like my back can get scratched up or whatever the case is, but my heart can't take that damage, and I don't need to be in a position to where, I mean, I'm either falling apart because I'm unraveling, or my heart is so cold now I don't even know how to tap into my own emotions to identify with myself to be able to display it or share it with anybody else. And so those things I still desire, because I need to get a lot of this stuff off. You know what I mean? And I think the entire black plight is carrying around, not the entire, but a large part of it is suppression and carrying around those things that we're told not to talk about. It's only here recently that we've been talking about that mental health and mental health awareness, especially in the black community, is a thing. It's almost faddish how much of it is a thing, but it's still relatively new, and people are so stuck in their ways, or so have been inundated with suppression so long,
I'm gonna tell you a
they don't
quick
even know how to
story.
start to let
Since
that
my nephew's
let
here, he'll
any of that
know who I'm
go.
talking about. I'm about to break a confidence on the radio or whatever, the internet. So I guess I'm a jerk. But anyway, so I have a friend, a guy I know who does work for me in this neighborhood. He's known as Psycho Mike, right? He's ex gangbanger, crazy dude, right? So I had a rescue dog a couple of years ago. Some of you guys might remember, and I had him only for a short time. His name was Clinton. He was a Chihuahua, right?
Mhm.
And he was sick, and I was probably stupid for taking him in because of all the healthy dogs, I picked one that was, wasn't going to be here long. But I enjoyed the short time I had with him. So, so he got sick, and it was really sad, and and he died right in, he died in my home. It was just me and Mike was there, and we watched him take his last breath, right? And it was really sad, right?
Mhm.
And Mike, the tough dude, been to prison, all of this stuff, cried like a baby, right? Just cried like a baby. And when they came and got him, he was just tears was coming out. I was sad too. I didn't cry, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And he did not want me to tell nobody that he cried. Like he was like, "Don't tell nobody that I cried like this." I'm like, dude, I mean, it's a sad thing. Not a, it's not a, it's not a bad thing. But he was so worried about the perception of him that he didn't want people to know that he cried because a dog died. You know,
So why are you telling us,
huh?
Takashi?
Oh, why am I, Busty? Well, you guys don't know him, so we good. But no, but it's just interesting though that he obviously needed to get it out. It was fine, right?
Right.
But he was, but that's just how we are as guys, right? We're so worried about the perception of, oh, he cried, whether you crying because of obviously because people can kind of understand when it's a family member or something like that, but sometimes you can have an emotional moment with you know like a dog passing or something. Like I since my father's passed away, I'll watch something on television and it'll be about a father and a son. And before, it didn't hit me emotionally like it does now. Now I'm like, trying not to, it's just funny how things change where all of a sudden that you don't have that armor or whatever it was, is not as strong or maybe not. So you never know how things will affect you in a certain way. And it's okay.
But we're all operating off of buildup, right? Like our every reaction, even if whether it's a calm reaction or an extreme
And all
reaction,
the-
our every reaction, you know, if you yell none of your business at somebody, that doesn't come out of
Mm.
nowhere, right? Like that person has asked you too many questions. You're not cool like that. Like everybody has had this situation. You're at work or school, and someone says something to you. They might make a little joke, whatever, right? If if Don says it, you're gonna bark on him. If Joe says it, you're gonna like whatever, Joe, right? Like we all react differently to different people, and when Psycho Mike was crying about the dog, who knows how many years or decades he's had to be tough and not feel through an emotion. And in that moment, he's like, "Yeah, this dog died, and I'm sad, but it reminds me of everything else I've been sad about that I couldn't cry about in
Mhm.
that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's so real.
You know,
Yeah. It almost made me cry. Why
And-
seeing him cry?
we all have to deal with these things, and it's just like when two people get in an argument. We've all had this experience, and someone brings up some old shit, and you're like, what is the saying? It's something like, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Like if you hurt someone's feelings, right? You take a beautiful woman like Shannon. There's dudes that she went to high school with that are, on Twitter right now, saying stuff because Shannon hurt their feelings. Shannon doesn't even know
So
who
Right.
hurt their feelings.
I'm sorry.
But sorry. But that's what it is.
Heartbreaker.
People feel excited. People go through emotions. And when you feel like you can't, I mean, that's why we have these incels killing people, because a girl that they never hollered at didn't want it. Like, you don't even know she didn't like you. You literally never hollered. Now you're shooting up your school. You didn't even shoot your shot, but you shoot
Right.
up the school.
Right.
That part.
I've known guys who were maybe not necessarily incels, but they'll be mad at a girl that they never even attempted to hook up with because they're with somebody. It's like, dude, you never try. She probably don't even know, or she might know, but you ain't said nothing, so she's like, whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like
Then I come.
I feel like people have this thing where stuff builds up, and any tension that builds up has to eventually get released. Sometimes in positive ways, sometimes in very negative ways. People get really creative. Artists, poets, authors. People get really creative. Around unrequited love and things of that nature. But you should, in this life, it's like life is a limited time offer.
Gotta put it on a t-shirt for us. Still
I mean,
Brooklyn.
I'm glad you didn't say life is like a box of chocolates.
Put it on a t-shirt. You got 30 days. If I don't see it on the t-shirt, it's mine.
But and so those people living in regret never shoot their shot. They never try to follow their dream. They let their parents or some guidance counselor from high school or someone who doesn't have authority over your life decide if it's good or bad. I mean, you got to ignore all that. But what you need is people to be vulnerable with and around, right? You might be in a position where you have to be tough. We all have to be tough just to survive this life. But if you can't, if you make the mistake, and like Free was saying, if you make the mistake and actually marry someone that you can't be vulnerable with, that is an egregious mistake, right? Like, because everyone needs someone, as a man, there are you want to avoid constantly whining or being upset or whatever but that's what you got to have a group. I think guys are pretty good at getting a group of people, not necessarily like-minded, but I like to have friends that are different, because that way when I'm saying something crazy, they have the distance and perspective to be like, Brooke, nah, that's not right. But when everybody is like super like-minded, then they're like, yeah, let's do that horrible idea. You don't need that. But yeah, it's tough to be vulnerable because, you know, when you're vulnerable with people and you share your innermost frailties, you know, and you have a close friend like Kenty that tells a million people live that you cried
Everybody knows now.
over
Everybody
his
knows.
dog.
I can't wait.
Everybody
I can't wait to show him so he
know.
can be totally mad at me.
because that's a mess. That's
Hey man, it's been like 3 years.
Kente
So
with,
this is a
with the
3-year
rainbow hair.
more.
Kente
that's the limitation of secrets. And then you get to
Right. You got 3 years, bruh. That's what I told him. You got 3 years, and then it's
Oh,
going
3
on
years?
one of these shows. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Oh wow.
All right. Well, I'll say this. I'm glad that I have a great co-host that I can be vulnerable with on air. And that's a great segue, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to close the show out, but of course we'll have our after show. I want to start off with Anthony. How can we get you on social media? And have you been working on any music or anything?
I've not recently been working on any music. I'm actually making a career change, not necessarily musically, but I'm in the midst of this COVID-19 has allowed me to come to a lot of realizations and reveal different parts of myself that I had not
Nice.
been paying that
All
much
right.
attention
Very
to. So with
good.
that being said, I am returning to the film industry. And in the next couple weeks, actually probably by the end of this month, I'll be heading out
Okay.
west. So I'll be between Arizona, Vegas, and LA, like Studio City, North Hollywood area. Reconnected with some film counterparts and being introduced to some new ones. So as far as social media, it will be Woodshed Pictures, spelled the Woodshed, spelled the correct way. You'll see I think a black and white house in the picture. It's a bunch of my photography and stuff. So in that, I'll be starting up working on actual principal photography for my documentary on Black manhood. So I've been conceptualizing that for the past like 5 years, but I think it's now time for the rubber to meet the road, and for me to go ahead and get the docu-series underway. So
All right. I can't wait.
yeah, that's where that's happening. The music will be coming soon.
And congrats to your brother.
Still working on some particulars
He had
to
big
make sure we
news.
get all that situation.
Got engaged. And uncongrats to
Oh,
you
yeah,
because I saw
he
your
got engaged.
your
Right, yeah, he got
post.
engaged. Oh right, yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, I lost the
if
bet
you-
and
if
people
you're
went
not
crazy.
following him, you
I
don't know
posted
what
and
we're
people
talking
went crazy.
And Brooklyn, how can we get you on social media? And do you have anything we should be on the lookout for?
I am in the middle of
Nice.
writing a
Okay.
book. It's about a man simultaneously dating 3 women.
Autobiography.
MSRP 99% RPR, tax on tax not included. Disclaimer. It's about a man simultaneously dating 3
Oh,
flight
nice.
attendants.
Okay.
And how that works out, and trying to, you're free to date as many people as you want initially if you're being, and then how you pare that down and how you choose. Not you, the proverbial you. Anyway, so I'm working on that, and maybe you can help me find a title for that. I'm still up in the air, Shannon. What you think?
3 Mile High.
Up in the air.
I'm still up in the air about the title.
3 Mile High Club.
But
I don't want you to be up 3 miles high and call it a club.
Big happy
More than 3
birthday
miles.
to Imani Williams, who is the great admin for the Black Artists Connected Writers Group. We love her. I haven't talked to her in forever. I got to give her a call. But I have to say happy birthday to her.
And I want to plug in right then and there how you remember her birthday, but you forgot mine.
Because she treats me nice always. I'm just saying. Hi, JS.
Oh, I didn't get to it. My Instagram is king__Brooklyn. My Twitter is @BrooklynPCB. My Facebook is Brooklyn Taylor. I'm on TikTok, but I don't use it. That was in Brooklyn too. But yeah, it's great to be here. Appreciate seeing all of you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure every time we get together.
For sure, man. For sure. Shannon, how can we get you?
So first, let me say before you get me anywhere, thank you, Brooklyn and Anthony, for showing up. Y'all don't know how important this is to me, this conversation, why I chose you two specifically. Your authenticity, your vulnerability, your ability to articulate your feelings well, always show up on camera. It's not a production. You didn't brush up on a script that you read for an upcoming novel or movie. This is truly who you are, presented live. And so that's why I asked you two on here. And so I hold space for you in your feelings, for you to feel however you need to feel in the moments of uncertainty, when cops want to pull you over, when people feel you, as Anthony said, as Karens clutch their purses, and don't nobody want that anyway.
I have that happen all the time. It's like, what would I want from you?
Yeah.
And why like there's spaces that it happens and you're like, here, you know, you're a guest here. You're getting escorted into where I work. Why are you acting like we're in a dark alley? You're not even authorized to be where I'm authorized to be every day. But, you know, if they have nothing else, they have the audacity.
And it is the Black man's burden to carry the stain of the white man's privilege.
Robert says you lived up to the intro I gave you.
Facts. Gentlemen, so much for being here, for being present, for being totally and humbly yourselves. We'll have to do this again. So if y'all want to come on part 2, I will definitely receive you well. But you can catch me asleep because as soon as it's over, I'm going to bed. But IG, Twitter, and Facebook, Shannon Ford, like the president, Ford, like President -Jefferson, like the president. I am currently on Sundays promoting Dismantling Daddy Dysfunctions and All the Men I Loved After Him, which will debut May 21st, 2021. Its counterparts, Marrying Mommy and The Woman I Love, The Woman I Hate, and The Woman in the Mirror, comes out August 14th, 2021. And I am working on some political activism, revolutionary stuff. My cousins call me the little mini Angela Davis, but I'm showing up to hold space for people in many different platforms because it's so necessary and vital for our growth and our development as a people. So,
thank you for everything. Thank you for what
I love you.
You can get me at Kente F on Twitter, Kente Ferguson on Instagram. Of course, the website is indyradio.org. That's indyradio.org. Remember, tomorrow night, Boogie is going to be on 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. That's going to be a great show.
Don't want to miss it.
Boogie's been doing his thing. He's a rapper. He's an activist. He's a deep thinker. You guys, if you don't remember Boogie from the Elephant Room with L.A. Wade, you'll love this cat. And Wednesday, we're going to be talking with comedian Inoje, better known as Bish Funny. And on Friday, we have Carlos Phoenix will be coming by. So we have a packed week. So with that said, we stay tuned for the after show. You guys have a great rest of your week. No. You guys have a great rest of your week. God bless.